Namaste and Jai Swaminarayan. Welcome to episode 2 of the Aksharbrahman Gunatit Satra. Today, we will look at a beginner's guide to the Akshar-Purushottam Darshan. In the very first episode, we looked at who Bhagavan Swaminarayan is. And so now we'll look at Bhagavan Swaminarayan's Vedanta, or the tradition established by Bhagavan Swaminarayan, which is known as the Akshar-Purushottam Darshan. First, let's take a look at how the Akshar-Purushottam Darshan fits within Hinduism. When you talk about the word darshan, it is traditionally known as or defined as to see and be seen. Typically, darshan refers to viewing the murti or the deity in a mandir and having the murti also look back at you, hence to see and be seen. However, the ancient sages of India took this one step further by explaining that a darshan is not only to see, but to reflect, contemplate, to think deeper, analyze, and ultimately have a realization of a concept. And so the darshanic tradition is also synonymous with philosophy, Hindu philosophy, as what a philosophy is. Within Hindu schools of philosophy, there are 6 astic schools of philosophy. These 6 philosophies have authority based on the Vedas. The Veds are the foundational scriptures of Hinduism. And so those 6 key schools of philosophy are known as Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Karmimamsa, and Vedanta. And so these are the 6 Hindu schools of philosophy known as the Shad Darshans. Now, as you can see here, within Vedanta Darshan, that's the more commonly practiced philosophy today. And so Vedanta Darshan has 7 distinct traditions. In order for a Vedanta Darshan to be a distinct philosophy, a distinct Darshanic tradition, there must be commentaries made on 3 key scriptures, the Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. Now, we will dive deeper into the Shad Darshans and then these 7 Darshans in later episodes, but simply know that within Vedanta Darshan, there are 7 distinct Darshans: Advait, Vishishtadvait, Achintya Bhedabhed, Shuddhadvait, Dvait, Dvaitadvait, and Akshar-Purushottam Darshan. These are the 7 distinct darshans within Vedanta. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait, aren't there only 6? Where did this 7th Akshar-Purushottam Darshan or Parabrahman Darshan come from? Well, in 2017, the Shri Kashi Vidvat Parishad, which is an authoritative council on all matters regarding Vedic philosophy, got together and they recognized the Akshar-Purushottam Darshan as a distinct philosophy. Now, this was in part due to the work done by Mahamopadhyay Sadhu Bhadreshdas. Mahamopadhyay Sadhu Bhadreshdas is a BAPS Sadhu, and by the wish of his guru, His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he wrote and authored the Swaminarayan Bhashyam, which are the commentaries of the Vedas, Upanishads, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita based on Bhagavan Swaminarayan's teachings in the Vachanamrita, which we saw in the first episode. He also authored the Swaminarayan Siddhanta Sudha, which is a Vada Granth, which is an expositional essay, argumentative essay explaining how the Akshar-Purushottam Darshan is a distinct and Vedic Darshan, how it is a distinct and Sanatan Darshan, an eternal tradition. And so after reviewing his work, the Kashi Vidvat Parishad said that just as Shankaracharya's Vedanta is known as Dvait Darshan, just as Ramanujacharya's Vedanta is known as Vishishtadvait, similarly, Parabrahman Swaminarayan's Vedanta is known as the Akshar-Purushottam Darshan. And in the very end, they write that we, the members of the Kashi Vidvat Parishad, all collectively endorse that this Akshar-Purushottam Siddhanta or Akshar-Purushotam philosophy that has been revealed by Parabrahma Swaminarayan is a Vedic Siddhanta, or a philosophy derived and founded upon the Vedas, and is distinct from Advait, Vishishtadvait, and all other doctrines. This is a unique aspect that in the 21st century, such a distinction and declaration was made. Now, we have an understanding of where the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan sits within Hinduism, but what exactly is Akshar-Purushotam? Who is Akshar-Purushotam? Well, very simply put, Purushottam refers to Bhagavan Swaminarayan, the Supreme God, and Akshar refers to Gunatit Swami, the ideal servant. Purushottam refers to Bhagavan Swaminarayan, whom we saw in the first episode, and Purushottam is also referred to as Parabrahman, Parabrahman being the highest entity. This highest entity is the supreme, all-knowing, all-doer God that possesses a divine and human-like form that is always present on earth. That is Parabrahman. That is Purushottam. Akshar refers to Gunatit Swami. In the Akshar-Purushotam tradition, it is founded that Gunatit Swami is the first spiritual successor to Bhagavan Shri Swaminarayan. And so Gunatit Swami is also known as Akshar or Brahm. Now, some of you might be thinking that, oh, I've heard of this term of Brahm before. Well, the term Brahm is actually in a majority of Vedanta darshans, Advait, Vishishtadvait. However, all of them propagate that there's one Brahm, one highest entity known as Brahm. Yet, the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan explains that there are two Brahms, Parabrahm and Aksharbrahman. And Aksharbrahman is the second highest entity. And besides Parabrahm and Aksharbrahman are the only two entities that transcend Maya, transcend the material world, that are forever eternally above Maya. And we'll learn more about this in the next episode. But very simply put, Aksharbrahman is the ideal and perfect disciple, ideal and perfect devotee, ideal and perfect servant of Parabrahman. He is the ideal bhakta, the ideal, the exemplary disciple that all should follow to worship Parabrahman and understand Parabrahman's greatness. So this is Shri Akshar-Purushotam Maharaj, as you can see on the screen. Purushottam being Bhagavan Swaminarayan, and Akshar being Gunatit Swami. Now, this Bhakta Bhagavan relationship, the disciple-God relationship, is nothing new in Hinduism. It has been a fundamental aspect of Hinduism for such a long time. For example, Shri Radhika ji is sitting next to Shri Krishna Bhagavan. Shri Lakshmi ji sits next to Shri Vishnu Bhagavan. Shri Sita ji sits next to Shri Ram Bhagavan. Shri Hanuman ji sits next to Shri Ram Bhagavan. Shri Parvati ji sits next to Shri Shiv Bhagavan. Shri Ganesh ji sits next to Shiv Bhagavan. And so, in the same way, Shri Gunatit Swami sits next to Shri Swaminarayan Bhagavan. Akshar sits next to Purushottam. That the ideal disciple, the Bhakt, is the exemplar of how to offer perfect devotion to God. Now, what is the goal of this philosophical tradition? What is the underlying, goal? What do aspirants seek to get out of this tradition? Well, in Hinduism, simply it's the concept of moksha. Moksha means liberation from the cycles of births and deaths that we have been going through for many, many years now. It is known as samsara, known as punarjanma, that we are bounded within the cycles of births and deaths. And to attain liberation is our only way out of it. That is known as moksha or mukti. Now, moksha is referred more to liberation, mukti is referred to more as salvation. But the concept is fundamental in Hinduism. Now, that's what differs within all the traditions of Hinduism, is how does one attain moksha? How does one attain the highest spiritual state possible? And so in the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan, that is this. in one mantra, it can be summed up. Akshar-Purushottam Darshan, that I am Akshar, a servant of Purushottam. Akshar-Purushottam Darshan. And so the essence of the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan is this, that both the spiritual endeavors towards moksha, towards liberation, and the goal of liberation, of mukti, is the same, is one and the same. It's Akshar-Purushottam Darshan. Sadhu Bhadreshdas wrote a very nice book called Parabrahman Swaminarayan's Akshar-Purushottam Darshan, an introduction, which explains this concept very clearly, that the sadhana and the siddhi are both the same, and that is Aksharamaham and Purushottam Dasosmi. Aksharamaham, let's take that first part of the mantra. Aksharamaham means to realize one's true form, to be the Atma, the true soul, and to attain oneness with Aksharbrahm through attaining the virtues of Aksharbrahm. Okay. The goal first is to attain oneness with Aksharbrahm, to attain oneness with Gunatit Swami, to attain oneness with the ideal disciple, the one who is above Maya, by attaining the virtues of that ideal disciple, by attaining the virtues of that Aksharbrahm into one's life. This is known as becoming Akshar-Rup or Brahma-Rup. Rup meaning a form, like so, becoming like Akshar, becoming like Brahm. Now it's very important to note that Aksharamaham does not refer to one becoming Aksharbrahm. One cannot become Aksharbrahm because one is bounded. We are all bound within Maya. And this will make more sense in the next episode. But one can attain the virtues of Aksharbrahm. The virtues being of, for example, of the understanding that Aksharbrahm has, the devotion that Aksharbrahm has, the respect and integrity that Aksharbrahm has, the understanding, etc., the characteristics of Aksharbrahm. And by imbibing those virtues into one's life, one can attain that oneness with Aksharbrahm by becoming that ideal disciple of Parabrahman. And that is the second half of the mantra Purushottama Dasosmi, to offer humble devotion to Purushottam, to Parabrahman, to God, with the correct theological understanding. That is the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan in a nutshell, that one must attain a oneness with Aksharbrahm by realizing their true form and attaining the virtues of Aksharbrahm, and for one to offer humble devotion to Parabrahman with the correct theological understanding, not just external devotion, but internal devotion, having the correct understanding of of the glory of Parabrahman. Now, this is only done through the association of the Aksharbrahman Guru. It's either done through the association of either Parabrahman himself or Aksharbrahm himself. There's a saying in Gujarati, ekantik thaki ekantik thawai, that one who is at that spiritually elevated state, by associating with them, one can attain a similar spiritually elevated state. And so, currently today, right, it is done through the association of the Aksharbrahman Guru, the Guru who is Aksharbrahm, who is eternally Aksharbrahm. And by associating with such a Guru through one's thoughts, one's actions, one's words, then one will attain Akshar-Purushottam Dasosmi. Now, the Guru is such a foundational concept in Hinduism. It is, regardless of tradition, the Guru is very important on one's spiritual path, guiding one towards the correct understanding and correct behavior and character in one's life. And so, hence, the Guru, again, in the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan is very foundational. And to add on to that, the Guru is Aksharbrahm himself, right? Eternally Aksharbrahm. And so by associating with the Aksharbrahm Guru through one's thoughts, actions, and words, one will endeavor towards and attain Akshar-Purushottam Dasosmi. And so, in the Satsang Diksha, a key scripture in the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan, in verse 291 is written, Akshara Brahma Sadharmyam Samprapya Das Bhavatah Purushottam Bhaktirhi Muktiryatyanti Kimata. that attaining oneness with Aksharbrahman, and offering humble devotion to Purushottam Dasosmi, is considered to be mukti. And so this verse just reinforces the understanding that one must endeavor towards the goal of Aksharabhamaham Purushottam Dasosmi, to become like Akshar, that I am Akshar, and to worship Purushottam as a servant, as a das, to humbly offer devotion to Purushottam. And so this is a beginner's guide to the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan. Very brief and very high-level overview of it. But in the next episode, we will look at a beginner's guide to Tattvagnan. Tattvagnan refers to the entities. And this is what separates the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan from all the other darshans, whether it's Advait, Vishishtadvait, Achintya, Bheda, all of these darshans. Why is the Akshar-Purushotam Darshan different? And Tattvagnan will clarify many of these questions. And so we hope that you are able to join us tomorrow for episode 3, A Beginner's Guide to Tattvagnan. Until then, Jai Swaminarayan.